is day 222, and we are continuing on here at freeCodeCamp. We are doing something or other. Where are we continuing off from? Seek and destroy. Right. Good times. So, seek and destroy. You will be provided with an initial array, the first argument in the destroyer function, first and only argument in the destroyer function, followed by one or more arguments. So they're going to be adding in more arguments. I guess they will be piling stuff in later. Followed by one or more. Remove all elements from the initial array that are of the same value as these arguments. Whoa. They're talking about like the additional stuff, right? I think. No, not right. Left, damn it. Left. God, who knows how many rights have slipped in the last couple days. Little confused, not really sure what's happening here. Who's seeking and destroying what now? Seek and destroy. You. I think they're talking to me. I will be provided with an array, with an initial array. Yeah, see, array, destroyer. Okay, there's that first array and then some bits afterwards. Post bidding. The first, you'll be provided with an initial array, which is this guy. So they aren't referring to the parameter array. They're referring to, little kitty, watch out, we've got limited time. They're referring to the array section of the parameter they're giving us. No. Hey, look over here. What's that? Wiggly fingers. Oh my god. When did that happen? Good. Get itched. Yeah, look at that. Who's touching your face? I am. Something about destroying. So the first with an initial array, the first argument in the destroyer function, followed by one or more arguments. We want to focus on the follow-up arguments. Remove all elements from the initial array, so that first array bit, that are of the same value as these arguments. So array, you know what we could do? Maybe not, is it split? Splice. Slice? One of those. We're gonna filter out stuff. Argument objects. Well, bastards. Alright, let's click on the links. Let's do this. Arguments. Arguments objects is an array-like object corresponding to the arguments passed to the function. The arguments object is a local variable within all functions. You can refer to a function's arguments within the function by using the arguments object. This object contains an entry for each argument passed to the function. The first entry is indexed starting at 0. For example, if a function is passed 3 arguments, you can refer to them as the following arguments: 0, 1, and 2. Arguments 1 equals a new value. So the arguments object is not an array. It's similar to an array, but it does not have any array properties except length, so identifying the characters. So we are neglecting 0. We will use the array object for our function, and we can You can do something to avoid it. For example, no. Princess, we're busy. Remember that? There you go. Look at that. You remember. For example, it does not have the pop method. However, it can be converted into a real array if needed. Here we go. See slice. Yeah, that's what we're getting at right there. Variable args array.prototype.slice call arguments. Args equals something dot slice dot call arguments. ES 2015 args equals array dot from array. I'm not sure what's actually okay. So this is a potential way of doing it versus this is another way of doing it. There's a big red angry section. Seems important. Using slice on arguments prevents optimizations in some JavaScript engines. V8, for example, something about more information. Yeah, I don't... Oh, God, back. And sit, Steven. Sit, boo-boo, sit. Yes, good. What are we doing? More info about tomato juice. Vegetable juice? Different V8? Probably a different V8. Managing arguments. Okay, so look at this. A and B function. Default something. Parameter A, parameter B. If arguments.length is less than 2, B will equal 5. Well, no, that's not cool. Return arguments. Slice. See, this right here, I feel like is what I'm looking for. Leaking arguments. Sounds kind of messy, but I think it's what we want. I'm just not... The slice looks weird to me, because I would want to put... Oh, you know why? It's because it's empty. There's no parameter. If it was the thing, array, then I think it would be array.slice.call arguments. Not sure about the call function either. None of this is good. None of this is what we're looking for. I can sense it. We're like right there. I know it's... I'm like 95% sure that it's slice, obviously filter, but it's how to implement it, and I think we can use this arguments object somehow, because if they're saying we can just identify... maybe I misread it, but it seems like these could be the parameters. The length of the parameter. So this, since the array is all-inclusive, that would be 0. So R0, you know? And then R1 would be whatever follows. So I think we want to slice after 0 or 1 and then filter all that noise. In my mind, it seems clear as day what it should be. I just don't know if the methods... the logic behind the methods work out like that. I also need to finish that damn video series from Udemy. We started it. We made it like 18 videos in. Gotta get back. Hey, Topher! What's the problem? Mostly straightforward, kind of. Seek and destroy. You will be provided with an initial array, the first argument in the destroyer function. So they'll be providing us one parameter. However, that parameter, this guy, has a couple components to it. And so this first initial component is an array in and of itself, but then it has comma 2, comma 3, so on and so forth. And what they put in afterwards, after the initial array, we have to sort out the stuff afterwards. Yeah, so 2 and 3, that means we need to extract all the 2s and 3s. So it would return just 1s. Anyways, so you'd be provided with an initial array, the first argument in the destroyer function, followed by one or more arguments. Remove all the elements from the initial array that are of the same value as these arguments. Remember to use blah, blah, blah. Here's some helpful links. Argument objects, and then, of course, filtering, which, if I recall, I'm glad we checked here, filtering creates a new array with all the elements that pass the test. So it doesn't modify the original, it births a new one. So then we would return the new one. Good times. Good times. So that's what we're up against. And something about optimization. It was another link they referenced here. It looked sad and frustrated. Using I wanted to use slice within the filter via the arguments thing. I know I should start coding out some of this stuff to get a basic skeleton, but I'm just trying to come to terms with it mentally, emotionally, physically, to minimize some of the confusion before I just start wandering off. Using slice on arguments prevents optimization in some JavaScript engines. For example, blank, blank, blank. If you care for them, try constructing a new array by iterating through the arguments object instead. An alternative would be to use the despised array constructor as a function. Why is it despised? That can't be good. Variable args, arguments.length. If it equals 1, then arguments 0. Otherwise, it equals array. Apply.null art. That, I don't know if that solves our problem, but it looks messy and it makes me sad. I get the feeling if we do want to slice, we're going to have to fix this. There's going to be some extrapolating involved. Probably tiers. You can use the arguments object if you call a function with more arguments than it's formally declared to accept. This technique is useful for functions that can be passed a variable number of arguments. Use arguments.length to determine the number of arguments passed to the function, and then process each argument by using the arguments object to determine the number of parameters in the function. Signature use function.length. So yeah, we could do r.length and very similar to this, I think, but with slicing involved. Let's get back to this. So, we haven't done anything. I don't know if little kitty walked across the keyboard, but we'll clear her code. Hopefully she's napping somewhere in the distance. Okay, Topher. Maybe convert arguments object to an array, loop or map through arguments array, minus the first argument, since that is the array, then filter out each argument that is in an array. Filter returns a new array already. I don't think you need to slice, since filter will return a new filtered array. Oh, that's right. There was another one. There was a previous challenge just within the last couple days. Slice modifies the original array, and filter returns a new one. That's what was going on. I knew there was an issue regarding one of those. So that would be, again, where I keep trying to do two different ways implemented at the same time, which ends up in tiers. So, once more, maybe convert the arguments object into an array so I could split yarg.split matey. Wow, a lot of piratey. That was a hard turn into Piratesville. We gotta kick that down a notch or two. maybe convert arguments object into an array, loop or map through the arguments array. I get looping through, and I know mapping will go through everything, but what would I be mapping to it? Loop or map through the arguments array minus the first argument, since that is the array, and then filter out each argument. So let's set up a loop just because I think that's easier for me to visualize. We'll still set up this a bit more legitimately in a moment. Looping for a variable I equals, there's a 0 involved, semicolon, I is less than, well, death. This, we'll name it, length, and I plus plus. So this guy, we need to give it a name. Variable equals, variable something, array? Split array, sadness. We are awful at variable names. Oh. Variable, we're going to call it split array. Topher, I gotta go out to dinner with the family. Good luck with the challenge, man. Thank you, Topher. Your guidance, even just the little synopsis, is perfect. So enjoy your meal. Yeah, good times. Enjoy the family company, and thank you again. All right. We are good. We are on our way to victory. Topher has guided us. We have heard what the almighty Topher had to say, and we are going to follow that path, and we should be mostly okay. The only thing that can lead us astray is my confusion, which is rampant. Variable split array. Split array. What an awful variable name. That gets a semicolon. Split array, dee-dee-dee, 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 doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, bee-dee-dee, dee-dee-dee. Alright, there we go. So we've got our for loop constructed. We will be doing something with it. Let's be aware of the return down here. Yesterday we totally forgot about that. We kept trying to run our code, and it kept returning the whole array down here, rightfully so. We were just forgetful, like usual. So, Topher, so convert the arguments object to an array, converted, loop or map through the arguments array. We will loop through the arguments array minus the first argument. Oh god. Time is up. Death. Well, let's close out of that. We'll be fine. Dee-dee-dee-dee. Dee-dee-dee-dee. Bum-bum-ba-da-da-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. What are we doing? So converting happened. Now we're looping. Minus the first argument, since that is the array loop. So we want to go through, then filter out each argument that is in the array. If it doesn't equal something for each blah blah blah, in splitarray.length if split array I is equivalent to 0, not 0, is equivalent to array zero, then if I is not equal to array 0. I don't know if I can actually do array 0. I guess maybe maybe it literally has to be arguments typed out. I'm not too sure. Arguments and stuff. Don't worry, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. But at least you can see the hell inside my head on what I'm seeing. Split array I equals, if it doesn't equal 0, then remove I, filter, array dot filter. We should have a new variable outside of the for loop. Variable destroyed. Equals variable destroyed equals something. Damn, we're running out of time. We gotta land this bird. Destroyed. Let me check something. Hold on. Destroyed. Okay. Array something. What was Topher saying? Maybe convert arguments object to an array. Then loop through or map through the arguments array. And minus the first argument, since that is the array. Can we slice in here? No. If split array I does not equal 0, which would be true, that would equal 0, so it wouldn't run anything. Then it would be true for the remainder. Array. We're just going to take array and filter out. No, then it would be array I. Destroyed push I. Maybe that's what it is. Destroyed dot push I can't. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Death. Array dot split isn't a function. Everything's awful. Everything's wrong. Everything hurts. Remove. Copy. Don't mind me. I only had like 20 minutes to kill today. So let's see what we got going on. Remove all elements from the initial array that are of the same value as the arguments for the initial array. For destroyer tree hamburger 3, code is giving the output hamburger, which is working fine, but destroyer is giving no output. Try this. 5 answers. Function prototype call. Filter des. You can use array.filter. Following example depicts the same destroyer 1 2 3 in this call. So see, look at that 1 2 3 1 2 3 2 3 in this call. 1 2 3 is first argument, 2 is second, 0 is third. So arg would have to be 1 2 3 and not 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Okay. Function remove element from array and number. Well, there's 2 parameters there. Variable temp, array filter function, item does not equal a number. Return items that don't equal a number. And it will return temp. Variable temp equals filter. SuperDeath main. Variable array. Result. Remove element from array. Remove. These are all painfully different from what we have. This should work for you. Yeah, I don't believe them. Destroyer argument. Variable args. Array.slice.call arguments. Possibly. ABC. Splice. See, they did splice instead of slice. I like splice. We just used splice a couple days ago, and it worked out great. But they've got another function inside of that. Desc value, you don't need loop here. Just check if the given value is in there. Ah, so they're going to do index of. Clever solution. Return argument.index of equals -1. And then we can splice returns array of the deleted elements so that your first argument is abc0. Return abc0.filter des. Variable result equals destroyer blankety blankety blank console log result. Function remove all the blankety blanks. Thanks a lot for your help. I changed my code like this, but I think abc0 is not necessary. Arg would suffice. I got all test cases running. Don't use ABC as an argument name of your filter function. All right. Hey, Yumyum. How are you doing? We are in the midst of seeking and destroying. Not exactly great. We've got one parameter coming in. However, that parameter has multiple components to it. The initial portion is an array, and then followed by the comma and preceding comma sections are other numbers. The following numbers need to be removed from the initial array. That's basically what's going on here. And it's awful because I'm confused. You've got array. We converted it to an array. Let's see. Let's do return split array. Wasn't it split? What the hell was it? It was something. God. What the hell was it? It's dot split. You know what? There's probably no parameter after it, or parentheses. Hold on. Don't mind me. Just a moment. Alright, crisis kind of averted. Where do we leave off? Death. We've got a little more time to stream, but barely enough to figure this out. What if we just searched seek and destroy? I really don't want to just look for that. I know we did source the sentence from it. Found basically the same damn thing, but filter. There is a way to do this. Words. It equals all of that. Long words is equivalent to words.filter. Word is the value. Value less than 6. So we want to filter out. We want to take our giant array. First, where'd split go? You know what? We've got both here that we can reference. Another crisis. Hold on. Alright. Back again. We've been having issues with our, not cat, although that is one of the things we've been dealing with, but cable and such. Our services. We recently improved our internet and other things like that, but it had been a whole fiasco the couple days leading up, trying to get it all sorted out, so that was a follow-up call. But everything's been dealt with. We're good. Better internet is always good. Yay, faster speeds. Where did we leave off? That call totally threw me off. We were on the verge of implementing something. I know we were. Oh, it was filter. We were coming to terms with the fact that split does not need split array. Hold on. Can't read the length of undefined. We were so close. And that's what we were looking for. We were looking for that. So, filter, open a new tab, and split, open a new tab. Well, that's weird. Death. Perhaps. Is the stream still going? I feel like the internet cut out on us. No? Oh, it's freeCodeCamp. They're having issues. No. That's what it is. Look at that. See? GitHub. That works perfect. Dee-da-dee-dee-da-dee-da-dee. So, let's see what's happening. That's so strange. Why they no like Steven? You know? What if I refresh this one? And that one? This one. Maybe it's a caching issue. Let's try going back. freeCodeCamp. Loading. I don't know. Let's just close out of those tabs and shimmy this guy back down here. Yeah. There we go. And... weird, right? Let's go back a page. Is it my account? Am I banned from freeCodeCamp? Did I do something wrong? Maybe it's my stupidity. Hey, Yumyum. Got a solution. Ready, I think. Works for me. I assume you're talking about the freeCodeCamp working for you, but also probably your solution as well. I'm sure both are working just fine for you. Maybe it looks like sign-in is the issue, but usually when I click on freeCodeCamp, it auto-logs me in, so my guess is it's a sign-in issue thing. Let me back out to this, and boop. And death. Okay, just so I can go back and show you. You being anyone / everyone who might be watching. See, back in action. Oh, yay, free code camp, sign in. SuperDeathHorse. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Yumyum, do you have perhaps a link to your solution, or a hint, a verbal in emoji breakdown of what your solution might be? I'm not sure where to proceed. Yeah, you do have a link. Cool. Let's go ahead and all revel in the glory of Yumyum's solution. We can at least do that. We can have a piece of closure thanks to Yumyum. Inspector Gadget. Unlink a new tab. All right. Look at that. Wow, far more elegant than what I had going on. Holy hell. Jeez, makes me question everything I was doing on mine. Although we were starting to build towards the possibility of doing stuff. You know what? Maybe we can still go to the activity collapse jQuery, front end, basic JavaScript, oriented nonsense, and seek and destroy. Whores, basket of whores. Why can't I? Well, let's do this. So, sad, fun. I like your style, Yumyum. What a great name for a function. Okay, so we're gonna run the sad function. That's strange that the sad function makes me so happy. Okay, we've got function sad. Oh, boo, I just realized it's abbreviated. Damn. I thought that was a play on my confusion and disappointing programming skills, but it's merely just an abbreviation for seek and destroy. That's also fun, too. Death. So close. Anyways, function seek and destroy, or sad, which is far more applicable to our current state of mind and skill level. Sad, we receive our array, a single parameter containing a flock of properties, really. Variable args, we prep an empty array, ready and waiting to receive. We go through our for loop. Variable I equals 1. Aha, start at 1. Oh, that way you avoid 0. Instead of starting at I had start at 0. So, starting at 1 is a great way to avoid 0, just as a life pro tip for anybody. Follow Yumyum's recommendations and just don't start at 0. I is less than arguments.length, and I++. So the arguments object is just a thing. It just knows. It's built in. It's always ready and waiting to be referenced in this type of scenario when a single parameter has multiple arguments to it. That's so cool. So args.push arguments I, and it's pushing all the stuff after 1. So from that point, we're returning arguments.filter, and then we're functioning out item, or any variable, value, whatever you want to call it. Item's perfect in this scenario. Return args dot index of item, as long as it doesn't equal -1. Now, question. So wait, we're returning, and we're going to filter, which it loops through. See, filter likes to process stuff. You set it up. You've got a variable, blankety blank dot filter. You've got your fresh set of curly braces and instructions on what to do with said info. So we are returning array.filter function item, and then we're returning in there args dot index of item if it equals. So if this equals -1, so that bit, can we clarify? Oh, Yumyum, you already did clarify. Index of returns -1 if it can't be found. That's right, we used index of a day or two ago, and I remembered it did something weird. That's what it was. It was sort of the confirmation on whether it has or doesn't have it. Not the main part. If it doesn't have it, it auto returns -1. So, good times. You connected the dots for us. Thank you. Index of returns -1 if it can't be found, and the index of the item if it is found. So when it does find it, it'll return that stuff. Or no, when it doesn't find that, it'll return it. So because we're looking for these numbers, and if it finds 2 or 3, not cool. We only want to return items that it doesn't find. So we want to return 1 and 5, and since it didn't find those, it would return a -1, and see, there, that balances out. How cool is that? Let's go ahead and run it. Ta-da! 1 and 5, Yumyum saves the day. When freeCodeCamp fails, Yumyum steps up. Yeah, be aware of that. It's like SpiderMan. Everybody gets 1. Although Yumyum has actually helped us more than once. So, just maybe it's everybody gets 1 a day. Who knows? I'm not really familiar with all the legal department and all of that kind of stuff that SpiderMan has to adhere to. But Yumyum does that. Saving people 1 day at a time. Just a day in the life of Yumyum. Let's go ahead and close out of this. freeCodeCamp ends with a fizzle, so we're just going to kind of leave it as is, and I don't know why we can access our profile page, but we can't access any of the activities. Something's going down for us. Let's close out of that noise. One more rejoicing look as we back out for today. Beautifully executed via Yumyum. And we are set. Good times. Yumyum, try restarting your browser, maybe. I can do that. Well, let me, Super Death. I was on limited time. You helped save. You cut the war by like 3 years, so that's greatly appreciated. But we do need to back out of said stream. We had like 20 minutes to stream, and it's been 53. Dear God. But yes, once I back out of this, I'll give it a shot, and we can report back. But anywho, in the meantime, thank you again. Huge thank you to Yumyum. Also, thank you to anyone else who may have stopped by to view the stream. We had Topher earlier, Yumyum, and anyone else who may have accidentally stumbled in here. Any and all views are greatly appreciated. We are going to be stopping the stream. The adventure continues tomorrow with day... use your numbers, Steven. Day 223. The adventure continues tomorrow with day 223 of the year of streaming and learning to code. In the meantime, we are stopping the stream. Are you sure you want to stop the stream? As OBS always asks. Hell yeah. Kill it.